All right. Well, then why don't we get started? Welcome to Kicking Tables. Darylle Johnson, Derek Lamb, creators of I'm Right, You're Wrong. I mean, what a better title for a game could there possibly be? Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good to hear.
Who wants to jump in and tell us what the game is all about? What is I'm Right, You're Wrong?
This one's all Derek. He came up with the original idea, so I'll let you take the floor on that.
Awesome.
Well, it's a life strategy card game about arguments. It plays in kind of like a card brawler, but instead of magic spells and pocket monsters, we use insults. And
Insults. That's good.
yeah, well, and then there's a little bit of a twist. Unlike most of those other games, most of the cards in your hand kind of suck. It's a really difficult decision, so you're spending most of the time trying to play your least worst option. It's kind of like real life petty arguments,
Sure.
and just hoping that your opponent will shoot themselves in the foot first.
So, what are you doing on your turn in a game? What is it you're trying to do, and how do you win?
Plays out like a CCG. You start your turn by drawing a card, then you into your hand, and then you get to make one of those. Choose a card to play. Must play one card, no more, no less, and deal with the consequences. Some cards reduce your hand. Some cards restrict your options. If you run out of cards in your hand, you lose. If you run out of options or you break a rule that was laid on by another card, you also lose. And it's a survival style game, so last man standing. Last
Awesome.
man or woman.
So it's sort of the opposite of your typical card game where you're trying to get rid of all your cards. Here, you're trying to stay in the game
Yeah.
and be the last one there. That's really cool. Like, give us an example of one of the what are some of the cards that you're going to have a hard time deciding what to play?
There's some hard cards. I'm just going to grab some. There are some hard decisions here. I mean, a lot of the cards in your hand are attack cards, and you'll have cards that make you discard two cards. There'll be some cards where the player plays your next turn. Um, there's less. There's all sorts of ones, and then there are also what we call the high road type of cards, which will give you a little bit of a boost, which will allow you to discard your opponent's hands as well. However, if you play all your good cards immediately, you may run out of options because
Okay.
there's also cards that restrict the kind of cards you can play, and yeah, you can definitely shoot yourself in the foot if you don't have options.
And I think that can happen earlier if you start with less cards in your hand, because we give the option to start with 3, 5, or 7 cards,
Oh,
depending how much strategy you want to have with it and how much
Okay.
space. So, like, let's say that you play a game with a 3-card hand, and you immediately play a card, discard 2 cards. You've lost the game because you play the card and then you only have 2 left. So, I mean, a lot of it really is trying to not get cornered. Like this one, for example, I don't know if you can see it. All players cannot play attack cards next turn. Derek gets me with this one all the time because it's not that bad. Like I have plenty of green cards and plenty of yellow cards, um, but then he'll place a yellow card that says that I also can't play a trap card next. So I'm stuck now where all I can play is a green card, but maybe I don't have any of those in my hand.
And
So
then you lose.
totally
Yeah.
just trying
Yeah.
to corner each other. And it's less of like that kind of Cards Against Humanity, like yelling and screaming at each other sort of vibe, but more of literally how the arguments play out, trying, like Derek said, trying to not shoot yourself in the foot.
right, right.
Well,
Indeed.
so I want to know how Canadians can actually make a take that game. We're usually thought of the friendly apologizing for everything type. How did you guys come up with the idea for a really great take that game?
Um, it's actually happened years ago. I work as a designer, and in our office, we during the elections, the American elections, everyone was harsh in choosing sides, conservative, liberal. We do, and some were trying to stay in the medium. Some are really trying to go off to the left, and just the rhetoric that was spinning around just evolved into shouting matches daily, and it was just over nothing. It's like, we're Canadian,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But then, that would be met with, it still it concerns you as well. And so I just kind of, day in, day out, I was watching them go at it, spewing this kind of rhetoric, and I recognized a lot of the fallacies from college days. I studied sociology, and it was an interesting thing to see. So this game was originally about fallacies, still the same playing mechanics. It was just we've gradually sawed off the deeper thinking things and gave a little bit more easier to see titles like discredit, emphasize, but the essence is still there. Just wanted to create a card battle type of game that's just a little bit more real to life.
Right. Now, I understand you were hoping to also release an NSFW deck with your campaign, but you're now going to make that perhaps an add-on later on. Tell us about the NSFW deck. What's that going to be all about?
We're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We'll be honest. It was really hard to make. Like originally, when we were making the game, it was really combative. I was actually told by friends not to make the game. It was a little bit too closer to home. We used a lot of the mean everyday insults that like people would say, and they were saying, "Oh, if couples played this, we gosh get an argument." And so we decided to make it a little bit. I wouldn't want to say dumb it down a little bit, but roll it back a little bit to be a little bit more age friendly for more types of people. And it's really hard to come up with the silly insults because that's not how we argue. I like to swear in the heat of the moment, and we're capable of saying some pretty vulgar stuff. I'm a pretty big Rick and Morty fan. I talk pretty much like that.
I think too, because Derek and I really grew up around having a lot of kids around us. Like I had a brother 13 years younger than me, and then I ran a children's dance studio, so it was always this filter on. So when I would go home, it just was absolute potty mouth. And like when we were making this game, we're like, I don't the all ages game, like it's still fun, but it's not how Derek and I talk. And so yeah.
You want to have a little bit more freedom at times with that.
Yeah.
And it's like that was definitely a challenge as well, because there's a lot going on in the world, and it's really easy to be offensive. And
that's so
we're dancing a very dangerous line, I think, but it's more us.
So
unapologetically.
What about the cards are going to make it NSFW in this deck? Can you give us an example of one of those cards?
Are we allowed to swear on this?
Sure.
Just a big long beep is what we'll just
All right, we have a card, and the category is "fuck you," and it's just filled with "fuck you" types of insults. One of our characters, Dogson, is spinning on a propeller hoisted by his crotch, saying, "I am done with you, dick-spinning motherfuckers."
All right, I think that's the better version of the game now.
Wow, that's great. So the humor is still there. It's just just not family friendly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
not safe for work.
That's right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the drinking game expansion pack that you guys are going to be putting out as well.
Oh my gosh, honestly, I'm the most excited about this one. We actually Will Helt on Instagram, he's Will Illustration, and we found him on Reddit back in February to illustrate the game for us, and he's been really integral to the development to a lot of the game as well.
The illustrations are phenomenal. They're so great. Yeah, they really are.
Thank you. He presented to us 14 of the 15 shots fired cards this morning, and they are something else. I mean, they're just on a whole nother level, and we really put a twist to the drinking game where it's not like your typical drinking game where you play a card and somebody has to take a shot.
Yeah.
We use the characters that we have. So like we've got Snowflake, Argue, Journeybird, and Dogson, and they all have these personalities. And so the shot cards each have designated characters, and the shots are either for yourself or you give them to another person, and they're done in the way of those personalities. So, for example, Dogson, he is the entrepreneur and he's the business owner. He has a bar amongst his many other side hustles, and so one of the cards says, "Take a shot glass." Go to the fridge and pour any sort of condiment in it and give it to another player at the table.
What? Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's one of the worst, more like rough ones to get. There's another one where it's Argue the robot. He's a sociopath. So it's like put your arms like this or behind your back like you're in a straitjacket, and then drink the shot without your arms. So just like fun stuff like that, and the illustrations for it they've just really started to come to life because we've been building these characters for months now, and they're bright, they're colorful, and if you can't tell, I'm just very excited about this.
So these
they may or may not remind you of someone you know.
So these are cards you would just add to the deck to play as normal, but you get these shots fired cards that you play, and then you have to do the action.
Yeah. And some of them will like directly integrate with some of the cards. So, for example, this is just a regular trap card, and in order to get rid of this trap where you can only play, where you can't play yellows, you need to disarm it. But some of the shots fired cards behave as traps where it says maybe no more drinks for the rest of the game. And if somebody wants to be a jerk and make everybody drink, then they could disarm that trap. And it fully integrates. And it was inspiring to me because it made me realize that we could make so many different types of expansions with the basic game. And it kind of turns the basic game into anything we want to moving forward. So
that is really awesome. How did the game change from initial inception to what it is today? I understand over the last couple of months you've actually made some big changes and some tweaks and improvements. But what was the game when you first initially envisioned it, Derek, to what it is today?
I'm going to see if I have the original, and I don't. Oh, somewhere. I'm not going to. The originals were somewhat the same. They were the 3 categories. However, the characters are different.
Okay.
And they had the examples were a little bit more real to life. We used, and they were based on fallacies. We'd have things like loaded questions and examples like, why do you always have to be right? There's some faux pas like let's both agree to be wrong. There's incredulity, which is, oh, it's just a scratch, and jumping to conclusion. There's all these types of it's like logical fallacies, and they were based on real life rhetoric. But I think during initial play test, it either triggered some people. Some people laughed. I mean, we had some couples go, oh, you always say that, but you can also see that could be wrong if that in the wrong setting.
Yeah.
and I think that it was just too, I don't want to say preachy. We wanted to make this game fun first. If it's self-reflective or anything, it'll be entirely up to the player.
Right.
Yeah.
That's because I understand, Darylle, when I first learned about the game, when you're out looking for people to look at it and do play tests and reviews, it sounded like it was a game meant to bring out these arguments among friends. Was that sort of the original goal of the game, or was that just sort of as a part of what the cards say?
It was the original intent. That's why we used relatable things, and we'd love it if people read out and they still can. We still have wacky insults, but now they just don't cut as deep.
Okay.
There is a trade-off with removing some of the relatable pieces. but we think that it's less distracting and flows a little bit better.
Okay.
If people, yeah.
That's
You
awesome.
know, you have to have the right type of people. Sometimes people, you know, some of the players may take that a little too personally.
Yes. That's
I've seen some fights for during Pictionary. I'm not kidding you. I've seen some straight up
A
like,
Scrabble fight?
Listen, I fought somebody
yeah,
over Pictionary before, so I can understand that.
Tico doesn't like to
yeah.
lose.
It's not just a Simpsons episode, you know.
So, so with your campaign, you guys obviously have some stretch goals and stuff. Like, you know, you've mentioned a few of the expansions and stuff. Is there anything else that sort of, you know, that you guys are thinking of trying to include in there that you might be able to tease for us? Is there a Canadian version where it's just nothing but apologies?
Oh my god, we should do that later. That's hilarious.
A lot of A and sorry and
It's like, you know, you lose a card. Sorry.
sorry.
Oh my god, we'll have to do that another time.
Bagged milk.
We have another expansion that we're going to be putting in. It's a 6-card one. We won't put it on our listing right away, but I guess we'll spill some beans here. Can I spill some beans here?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, we'll let you.
I mean, we'll allow it. I'm not sure if Derek's going to allow it.
it's quite all right.
We've been building up towards a crime mystery where you see on the game there's the 4 characters, but we actually have a 5th character, kind of like in Mario how there's Wario.
Yes.
The character's not really there all the time, but is in existence, and that character was taken to jail for certain reasons. And during the Kickstarter campaign, it'll be unlocking that character from the jail, finding out why,
cool.
and basically stealing Will's pen from him so that they could release this character. And this one will have its own expansion pack with, I think 6 cards, and it's called the Game Breaker.
Okay.
So this character has read a scroll that teaches them how to beat and win any argument in the world. And so with the premise of that, when you insert these 6 cards into the deck, it completely changes the game and essentially ruins the game, but in a playable way.
Nice.
So I can't give you examples of what will be in there.
No, that's fine. That's really, really cool. So listen, we have a section in our show where we like to get to know each of you outside of your own game, to get to know you as gamers, what kind of games you like, and your gaming preference, all around game night and your board game preferences. You ready for this? It's a lightning round. Just first answer that comes to mind. You each ready? So Darylle, you can answer first, and then Derek. All right. First one. Favorite childhood game?
Oh, honestly, I was a Nintendo kid. I liked Mario.
Okay. Not board games when you were little?
Risk.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but it was Monopoly. I didn't have a great childhood full of many options.
Okay.
And Rat Trap.
Oh,
Mousetrap.
Mousetrap was amazing. Oh my god. I actually never played Mousetrap. I just set it up and watched it go. I mean, that was the joy of it.
It was.
Science fiction or fantasy?
Oh, really? We gotta pick? Science fiction.
Both together.
Yeah.
Valid answer. What's your favorite modern game?
Modern tabletop game?
Yeah.
How far back can we go? I'm starting to. In the beginning, I didn't really like the Unstable Unicorns. It was so hard to get people to play with me. But my wife is starting to pick it up, so I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is a game I've been wanting to play. I can't seem to find it anywhere. Darylle, how about you?
I feel like I'm gonna say it sounds so cliche for saying this, but it's Exploding Kittens. I like the balance of the party game and the light strategy combined. I just feel like I could play it with anybody.
I'll agree with you. I was a backer on that campaign. What's your favorite classic game? So now old school. Are you still a fan of your favorite childhood game, or is there something else you prefer?
I've been getting a lot into Looping Louie for some reason. I'm not sure if that is considered a tabletop game, but it sure is hilarious.
That's fair. Darylle?
I feel like I sound super lame because I'm so mainstream. Like Derek's more of a gamer than me. But when my friends come over, I like to play Chinese checkers. Like
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
That is definitely a classic. Absolutely. All right. What's a game you love but you always lose?
I'm right, you're wrong.
Ah. I always lose. I'm pretty strategic, and I don't say my competition's. I don't want to sound like I'm full of it, but I guess guillotine or Monopoly deal. I
Oh
can
yeah,
say I have some red columns there.
All right.
always lose that game.
Worker placement or area control?
Area control.
Area control.
All right. Legacy games. Do you like to destroy the components or preserve them?
Destroy.
Yes.
I'm a destroy person.
Awesome. The way it's meant to be played. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Not many people know, but I was a Trekkie back in the day.
I,
Even
s-
have the
I
replica brass.
so do I, my friend. So do I. It's on my jean jacket with the command pips.
With
I'm
the
with
beep.
you. Although another valid answer would be both. I will take both because I'm a lover of both of them. Anyway, that's it. That's it. That's it for our lightning round. Just to get to know you a little bit better outside your own game. Uh, Before we let you go, give us your final thoughts on "I'm Right, You're Wrong." What do you want people to know about the game, and why should they back it?
We first envisioned this game because it is to bridge the gap between non-gamers and gamers. As you can tell, Daryl's not like deep into it, and I wasn't really until a few years ago. My cousin started getting into it, and I really enjoy it. I find such a hard time getting a lot of my friends into it. So we made this game easy to play, easy to get into. That is why it's
Yeah.
about bringing people together. It's a game about friendship, even though it's about arguments.
I was
Awesome.
sitting at a table just down the street from my house a couple of days ago, and there was a lady there talking about how she likes to play Magic the Gathering, but it's hard for her to bring in her, new friends to come and play with her because there's too much to learn and get into just from the start, just from the jump. And overhearing that conversation just really reaffirmed exactly what kind of Derek was pitching to me when he first came with the idea that it doesn't have to just be party gamers, social gamers, and hardcore gamers. There can be stuff that's sort of in the middle, and there is a demand for that. And I just hope that I hope we've reached that, and I think we have. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm Right, You're Wrong hits Kickstarter on July 13th. There is a link down below, so everybody go click on that and click the button to be notified when it goes live. Darylle, Derek, thank you so much for being a guest. It's been such a pleasure talking to fellow Canadians on our show, and good
Thank
luck.
you.
Good luck with your campaign.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you
guys.
so much. Thank you for tuning into OMG Nexus. You heard it first about I'm Right, You're Wrong. Rather great games and Canadian content. Like, wow.